Massachusetts, Mr. Lynch, who is also the chair of the Task Force on Financial Technology, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Ray. I appreciate your patience with us today and your testimony. Recently, we received a leaked copy of Mr. Bankman-Fried's intended testimony. Apparently, it was leaked to Forbes. Basically, he continues to allege that this was all an accident, that was unintentional on his part, that he was unaware of his company's, various companies' activities. However, as my colleagues have pointed out previously, this structuring, as you have said, of these 4 silos of companies, the location in the Bahamas, indicates a deliberate attempt to avoid U.S. jurisdiction and U.S. security laws. So in our conversations with Mr. Gensler of the SEC last week, he indicated that there are laws in place that would have protected investors and customers had Mr. Bankman-Fried decided to register his offshore operations here in the United States. Is that your understanding?
You know, I'm not familiar with the regulations he's speaking to. Obviously there was an absence of regulation relative to these operations, so clearly any regulation would have helped.
The Southern District of New York also unsealed its criminal indictment this morning, which alleges that Mr. Bankman-Fried lied to investors. He now faces about 8 counts, including wire fraud on customers and lenders and conspiring to defraud the U.S. and violate campaign finance laws. Do you have any information that would countervail those charges? Is there anything that you've seen in the way that Mr. Bankman-Fried structured this company, or in any way that he tried to comply with U.S. securities law in your investigation so far?
We've certainly made all of our information available to the regulators and the enforcement agencies, and obviously they're seeing what we're seeing.
What I'm trying to get at is that while Mr. Bankman-Fried continues to say this was an accident, it appears to me at every step of the way that his acts were intentional, they were willful, and these were conscious decisions made by him in structuring his company as he did.
I don't know what his intent was. I certainly know what the results were, and they're disastrous, obviously, for customers.
I realize that only, well, at least so far, the reports say that only about 2% of the people defrauded in this, in the FTX collapse, were from the United States. Is that correct?
You know, I don't know how they're calculating that number. Is that on a customer basis, a value basis? It's hard to comment on it. We do know that the U.S. investors were on the U.S. exchange, and the relative losses there are a fraction. But it's too early to tell exactly how much those losses are in either silo. There is a general truth to the statement that the U.S. will suffer, that particular exchange will suffer less than the .com exchange, purely because of the siphoning off of cash and assets from .com over to Alameda.
There also seem to be, despite the structural differences between these different operations, FTX.com, FTX US, there is, without a doubt, a barrage of advertisements, endorsements, especially in the minority communities where Bankman-Fried admitted that he was trying to supposedly bank the unbanked with access to FTX. Is that how the U.S. citizens were sort of swept up into this? Do you have any indication that that was the process? They do heavily. There's a lot of hype around crypto. There were hundreds of millions of dollars were spent on advertising to U.S. citizens on FTX. I'm just wondering if that was what drew some of these victims into this disaster.
You know, I don't have a professional view of that. I think your own observations will guide you there.
Okay, well, my time has expired. Madam Chair, I yield back. Thank you.